Our presentation is on emotion regulation. My name is Rebecca Haynes and my partner is Natalie Crouch. The background of cognitive behavioral approach is that it helps clients to challenge thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors that self-destruct while teaching new ways of believing, feeling, and behaving. In our presentation, we hope that we can teach our clients or the participants of this that there are different ways to react to emotion and that we need to look for the positive ways to react rather than jumping on impulsive decisions and negative reactions. Within this approach, animals can be used to help build rapport, role play, assist in development of social relationship skills, because an animal is sensitive to verbal and nonverbal communication and expressions. We would like to be able to relate the animal to the different reactions, such as if someone yells because they are upset that they're not getting their way, we can relate it back to how a dog would feel if their owner yelled at them for something they did. Would they be embarrassed, ashamed, scared? And how are they feeling compared to what we feel when we're yelled at? They are probably pretty similar reactions, and maybe that can have a connection for our participants to be able to recognize the different emotions and feelings within that activity. Our group demographic is that we will be working with the residents of the SPHS Care Center, LTSR. These are adults ranging from 19 to 60 years of age, all having severe mental health diagnosis, such as what's listed below. I don't have a lot of experience working with adults with these different diagnoses, but I do have some personal experiences of my brother having schizoaffective disorder. So I hope that we can really make a difference in these participants' day, and I look forward to interacting with them. Our treatment plan. The first problem behavior we will be addressing is emotional outbursts. Our long-term goal is that the client will decrease the frequency and intensity of emotional outbursts. We all have outbursts throughout our lives, but they aren't as frequent or as intense as those with severe mental health diagnoses. Our short-term objectives are that the client will recognize signs of frustration, and two, that the client will identify appropriate ways to convey those emotions. The therapeutic animal-assisted intervention that we chose for our presentation is one that the therapist will relate scenarios to the therapy dog using animal-assisted activities to teach emotion regulation. So when we are talking about earlier, relating the scenarios that we give them to how the dog may feel in the same situation, and teaching them how to have better reactions by what we will explain later with our activity and the cards of choosing their different scenarios and their outcomes. Two, the therapist will teach the client animal-assisted yoga with the assistance of a certified therapy dog. Also later we will talk about our session plan and how we will incorporate the yoga into our activity so that we can teach them calming coping mechanisms as a better reaction to impulsive decisions. Our second behavioral concern that we will be addressing is impulsive behaviors. The long-term goal that we have is that clients will decrease the frequency of impulsive behaviors and stop and think through decisions. We all can have impulsive decisions sometimes where we are wanting to buy something and we don't really have the money, but we do it really quick so that we don't have to think about the money we don't have or how that will affect us in the long run. These can be negative impulses that we need to control. When these become frequent, it can really affect someone's life. So the short-term goals that we want to address is that the client will be able to identify those impulsive behaviors that they have themselves, or that the client will identify negative consequences of those impulsive behaviors, such as the one I explained before. The negative consequence to buying that item is having financial burdens or not being able to pay a bill later if you don't have the money for it. The therapeutic animal-assisted intervention that will be used to address this problem behavior is that the therapist will assist the client in finding better solutions to problems rather than impulsive reactions with the guidance of a certified therapy dog. So later in our session plan, we will explain the activity we plan to use the therapy dog for to address this intervention. 2, a therapy dog will provide comfort during the CBT group sessions while the therapist assists the client in identifying impulsive behaviors and negative consequences to those behaviors. No one wants to talk about the negative things in their lives, nor does it feel great. So the help of the dog being there as an emotional support can help them build rapport with that animal as we talk about the different scenarios relating to the dog. And also just being able to pet the dog has been shown to really calm people down and reduce the heart rate and blood pressure. And it builds rapport so that they feel more open and honest about things so that they can share more freely. The intervention we chose was CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. This identifies and challenges the client's beliefs that are irrational and continue to maladapt behaviors. So when a client thinks that it's okay for them to yell immediately because someone isn't answering the phone, we can give them scenarios of other ways to think about that situation. Maybe that person is busy. Maybe that person needs time to respond. Maybe that person didn't see the text message yet. We can give them different scenarios and change their thoughts, and they're not immediately thinking that that person hates me, that person doesn't want to talk to me, that person is ignoring me, and giving them the different thinking behaviors. So CBT is going through the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and really changing those core beliefs. It is helpful to recognize the outcomes of our thoughts and behaviors, and it can be used to model specific behaviors. The therapy animal can boost a client's self-confidence. The client is encouraged to play and interact with the therapy animal. For our intervention, the dog will be used as an active participant, providing emotional support, serving as an example for how dogs show these behaviors, and posing with the participants during the yoga poses. An icebreaker activity. According to Cholp and Collins, an icebreaker activity helps individuals in a group setting get to know each other and help begin the conversations, alleviating stress so that the participants can build rapport and share more freely. For our icebreaker activity, we are going to go around the room introducing ourselves first and letting all the participants, including the Slippery Rock students, to share their names, favorite animals, and how they feel currently. By having them share this information, we are hoping that it releases some tension in the room and gets them acclimated to the activity we are about to do, as we will also, as social workers, be introducing ourselves, and it gives us a chance to know who each of them are so that we can call them by name and make it a little more personal. And by having them share their current feeling, this gives us a way to check back in at the end as a closing to see where they are after the session. Our session plan. The purpose is for individuals to better understand the complexities of their emotions and find healthier ways to process and regulate their feelings. The goal is to have the participants successfully match difficult emotions with correct solutions, and at the end of the intervention, be able to identify an emotion they experienced and list appropriate solutions for working through it. The objectives are that the client will recognize signs of frustration, the clients will identify appropriate ways to convey emotions, the client will identify impulsive behaviors, the client will identify negative consequences to those behaviors like we talked about before in our treatment plan. Group members will be given a card that is either red or green. The red cards will have a negative emotion or feeling on it with an associated behavior like angry, yelling at someone because they are upset with me, and a picture of a sad or angry dog. They will read the card aloud and then take the dog with them to find a match around the circle for their problem emotion. When they find the match, they're going to ask that participant holding the match card to join them up front, and they will read the solution out loud and perform the associated yoga pose to practice deep breaths and remaining calm. Each solution card will have an affirmation and yoga pose as an alternative to negative responses. Then my partner is really great with musical therapy and really likes to include that in her sessions. So we decided to also incorporate that 2 participants for each match will also be encouraged to play a rhythm or pattern on a small hand drum to demonstrate that feeling of negative emotion that made them feel, and then transition to the calm solution so they have another way of expression that is safe and harmless, and this can be repeated until everyone has a turn. So if our affirmation is I am strong, the solution was I will take some deep breaths and go for a walk. We will teach the yoga pose like you're riding on a surfboard. The dog could go through their legs or sit next to them as they are able to sing together. In their yoga pose, after deep breathing, they can sing, I am strong. And here are our references. Thank you for listening.